What was the most expensive thing you ever got for free because someone made a mistake and didn't charge you? An entire brand new in-store $600 Queen mattress. To this day, I have no idea what happened with this one. I just moved into my first official place, which I split with my brother. Up to that point, I'd slept on a twin my entire life, but having reached what felt like a pinnacle of success, I thought I needed a mattress worthy of my newly independent status. I went to a couple stores where the salesman followed me around and generally creeped me right the heck out. The mattresses were also much more expensive than I planned on anyway that I probably would have given up regardless. Well, one day shortly thereafter, I was driving to work when I passed a store that I'd never noticed a closeout sale. I said excitedly to my empty car, "Sure." Was an equally untidy desk, with papers strewn haphazardly about. To the right was the display floor, which had room for perhaps 8 to 10 mattresses to be out at a time. The middle-aged man behind the desk glanced up over his glasses as I entered. "How can I help you?" he asked. "I'm looking for a memory foam mattress. I'm hoping to find one on the softer side, but I've also heard they can have problems with retaining heat and I want to avoid that." The man nodded and stood, beckoning me over to the first of the 8 mattresses on display. This is a really quality one made by some well-known brand. It does tend to run a bit firm though. I tried it. Yeah, this was a Papa Bear bed. I wanted Mama Bear's. Too soft. No such thing for me. Goldilocks was crazy. The salesman motioned me to the second bed in the line. This one is softer, and it's a really great off-brand bed, with built-in cooling solutions. It's also cheaper by about $200. I sat on the edge, swung my feet up onto the protective cover across the bed, and sank down into utter bliss. This was it. I was astonished by how both squishy and supportive this mattress managed to be. It was like an endless hug from my mom, and I was absolutely sold. Once I managed to pry myself away, we headed over to the clutter-piled desk. The man told me my options: cash up front, about $600, or a finance plan, interest-free, of 3 payments, 1 per month. While I could have paid for it right there, I thought it would be easier on my budget if I didn't totally drain my account unnecessarily. He rummaged around for a while before unearthing the proper paperwork, and filled me in on the story of his doom store while I filled it out. Competition was fierce, he said, and being such a tiny store, he struggled to bring in customers. Add to that he and his teenage son did all the deliveries, made especially difficult by the fact that his back was starting to go, and he was just done. "I'm going back to long-distance trucking," he confided. "I've already got a job lined up, with benefits and better pay, and I can give my back a rest." I handed him the paperwork, and he told me to come back after work and I could load up my bed after he'd processed my info. Promptly at 5 o'clock that night, I was back, card in hand and ready to load up. The salesman met me outside, apologetic. He'd not had time to run my paperwork, he said, but that was all right. I could still take the mattress that day, and he'd call me when he'd set up my payments. I couldn't complain too much about that, so his son helped me load the tightly rolled mattress into my hatchback and off I went. By the following week, I'd still heard nothing back. The mattress had taken a couple days to air out, and it still smelled weird from newness, but overall I was loving it. Like the Lannisters, however, my parents taught me to always pay my debts, and I'd worked hard to earn this mattress. I had no interest in acquiring it in any dishonest way. I returned to the store by the second week to check on things. The salesman apologized profusely as he searched through even larger piles of paperwork on his desk. Things were crazy what with the closing, he explained, but he'd get my papers done eventually, he promised. 2 weeks after that, as I was once again driving to work, I noticed that the mattress sign was gone. His delivery truck was no longer parked there, either, and the windows were empty and dark. I checked that night to confirm, and sure enough, he was gone. I had no way to contact him, either, since the only number available had been for the business. For years thereafter, I waited to hear from him. I halfway thought that collections might show up at my door or in my mailbox or however they shake money out of supposed mattress thieves. I like to think he just scraped all those papers into a box in the end, and took great satisfaction in tossing that box on his celebratory bonfire that evening. I'll likely never know for sure, but 4 years later, I'm curled up on that same mattress, comfortably typing out this story. Somewhere I hope there's a happy long-distance truck driver who found a good job and a good life, so good, in fact, that the $600 he missed out on never even crosses his mind. What's an industry secret that we can use to avoid huge medical